Hello everyone. Welcome to something a little different from what I've done in the past. For those of you who do not know, I am a voice actor and narrator as well as being a cringe IT furry on the internet. And I figured, who knows, maybe you all would enjoy a little bit of story time as well. Instead of getting my usual voice, you now get the narrator voice. You get the voice that I would usually use when I'm recording, when I'm doing audiobooks, which I have published an audiobook, actually. No, you don't get to know what it is. It was not a good one. But I figured we'll still be able to have a little bit of fun doing something a little bit different this time. Most of the music you will hear today is provided by Muse, and now they will no longer be able to say I did not credit them properly. Alright. Now, without further ado, sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice cup of tea, maybe some coffee, maybe your favorite strong drink, and just relax and listen. Becky, congrats on the first. Welcome, everybody, to a favorite subreddit of mine that I spend way too much time on. Also, if the audio needs a little adjustment, feel free to let me know. We're doing a bit more relaxed, a bit more calm stream today, so you get the narrator voice. Yeah, usually when I'm talking, I don't sound as hyper as you guys are used to. This is closer to my normal speaking voice. So you get normal. You get normal speaking Soma instead of attempting to be entertaining Soma. I need to turn this down for me though, so I need to turn it up for you. Because that was very loud for me. That should be good. Oh.
Okay, did I fix it? I guess something broke. Is it now sounding normally? God fucking damn it, I hate this piece of shit software with a passion. I'm gonna commit crimes. I'm gonna commit crimes, I swear. Anyways, everyone, welcome to something a little bit different this time. I'm angry. No, I'm angry now. I can't do the calm intro. I'm angry now. Oh, where's my coffee? Isn't the downs? You sounded like Alvin and Chipmunk. Yeah, I noticed. Twisted and I have been doing some modifications with some of my stuff, so we made some changes, and I guess the settings got left on while we were doing some practicing. But no, this is more closer to my normal speaking voice. Usually you guys are used to me sounding like this, sounding very hyper, sounding ready to go. But I figure we're going to tone it down a little bit for today. Give people another few minutes to hop on in. Let the music play. So, in the meantime, this would be the perfect opportunity for you to grab your favorite drink. Maybe some tea, maybe some hot coffee. Maybe a small snack so you can crank the volume and just enjoy the vibes. We're going to be exploring a couple subreddits today. Hi Grim. Okay, hi Cat. No, I don't need you in my face right now, baby. Yeah, no, that is not my normal voice. Alvin and the Chipmunks is not the normal voice. That's the bonk voice. That's the voice you're supposed to hear when you bonk me. I need to check my keybinds. I'm going to blame the cat. I'm going to blame the cat for that happening. He has been enjoying sleeping on my keyboard. Oh my god, excuse me. He's been enjoying sleeping on my keyboard, and he has a tendency to hit the wrong buttons. Anyways, I figured we'd go through some of the best from this year of writing prompts. Maybe take a look at another favorite of mine. Oh my god, why am I so... Ugh, why am I so... Bleh? Maybe take a look at another favorite of mine, The Grimoire of Madness, which is done by Santiago Del Mar, a author who has given me permission to do narrations of his stories, which we will get to eventually. one of these, I am currently in the process of setting up a full-on narration channel as well. If you guys would like to join that, you may feel free. I believe it is called The Night Library. In fact, I have a little something we can play for you all while we're giving people some time to hop on in. Give me 1 second while I quickly find it. Nope, that's the wrong folder. Narrations, finish videos. Should be able to just display capture this and it'll be fine.
They say that everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has a little bit of fiction that they've written out. A tall tale, maybe, that has been passed around the school grounds, only to gain somehow more truth the longer you grow up. Well, not everyone's story has a way to be told. Not everyone's story will appear in the bookshelves of your local bookstore. But just maybe,
I just realized YouTube can't see
I
it.
have a place for your stories here in my library. Be them fiction, non-fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, horror. If you've got a story to tell, then I might just have a place for it here on the bookshelves of my library. So sit down, relax, grab yourself a nice cup of tea. The night is young, and I have a story to tell you. Maybe next time it'll be yours. Welcome to the Night Library.
That is going to be the trailer. That is the trailer for the narration project that I am working on right now. Hope you all enjoyed. A little teaser, shall we say, before it's all finished. It's all ready to be released. I currently have 2 stories that I've finished narrating, and I will be getting even more done eventually. I have a couple that I have prepared to record. I just need to actually take the time to record them, which is probably going to be a bit of what I do on my days off, since I'm going to spend a lot of other bits of time editing them. Let's get some more music going. Because, nope, wrong music. This music. There we go. Now, without further ado, let's take a look and see what we can find. I feel like we should just start with the top, like top of this year for writing prompts. Humans are beneath vampires. You're just livestock to us. I don't think you know what livestock is. Do you feed us? Care for us? Protect us from predators? No. You just slink around dark alleys and ambush people. That's not what a higher being does. That's a bottom feeder. A parasite. I like it. Alright, let's sort by best. And author Antonio. Garthala watched the man, inhaled his scent, tasted his scattered humors. Fear. Oh god, that is loud. Fear, anger, a hint of hope. The petty emotions were contemptible. Humans are beneath vampire. You are just livestock to us. Errol knew he was being watched, only because of the bright eyes of the sanguine hunter shone in the darkness. A muted yellow, a candle on the still of a distant window. The guardsman met the devil's eyes, steeling himself so as not to show fear. I don't think you know what livestock is. Do you feed us? Care for us? Protect us from predators? No. You incoming Kit? Hell yeah, Kit. No, you just slink around dark alleys and ambush people. That's not what a higher being does. That's a bottom feeder. A parasite. Oh, little man, Little mortal man, you know nothing, the vampire chuckled. He never blinked. I know that you're in a cage. Hold up. I know that you're in that cage. I know that come the morn, the sun will bathe you and clean you from this world. No, I don't stream on Mondays and Tuesdays. No, it's Mondays and Tuesdays I don't stream. And today we're doing something a little different anyway, so it's probably going to be a shorter stream today anyway. Without a thought, he stepped one small step back from the cell toward the mounted light behind him. That's fucking, he's butthurt. Does the farmer not eat from his livestock? Does a shepherd not cull the herd of the weak? Does the king not eat the tenderest veal? Does a god not demand a virgin for sacrifice? These are small costs you humans pay. There was an unsettling growl in the creature's words. I was thinking of streaming myself, damn. You still can, kid. You still can. Ain't no reason you can't stream. Again, this is gonna be a shorter one. I'll send them over your way when I'm done. It was believed that this very monster had taken his younger cousin. The godsman's anger poured out with his words. He stepped toward the cell as his voice went from a near whisper to a shout. They are people! Thinking, loving. They have families. I have lost families to you, monster! Hello, Brandon. Hello, hello. Ignoring what the man said, the prisoner spoke. You know nothing of protection.
Ah.
There we go. Okay, did it turn off? Did it turn off this time? It turned off this time. It is working again. We fix. We fix. Ignoring what the man said, the prisoner spoke. You know nothing of protection. We few are all that guard the veil. We are the creatures that hold the line. We, the vampire. If not for us, the true danger would rule the night and day. Hydrate! Alright. Sounds good, point and bye. Thanks for stopping by Storytime. Lies. You know that I cannot lie. That's the truth. Hear it. Heed it. A lie about lying? Novel. You are less clever than you think, and I am not the fool to gobble up the fetid hog shite that you dribbles from that fanged maw. As I said, you know nothing. We are creatures of magic, fallen fae. Fae cannot lie, not even us fallen mutants. Errol knew nothing about fae or vampire, knowing nothing about blood drinkers being fallen fae. Even still, he felt himself believing the caged killer. What creatures do you speak of, Who do you stand guard against? Feel the truth of my words, listen to the truth of my voice. Our compact with the Fae is what I speak of. They are the real devils, beautiful tricksters. They banished us here, and their greed knows no bounds. They come from time to time, and we drive them back. They would enslave you. You know this to be true. Understand the truth of my words. Believe the truth of my voice. We may eat of our herd, but the Fae would undertake a great winnowing. Those that did not perish as their tools in their silly proxy wars would live the lives of true livestock, caged, and allowed to take out tasks and amusement. And allowed out for tasks and amusement. A bite doesn't even hurt. There's a bliss with it. Hear the truth of my words, drink the truth of my voice. The guard realized he was standing in the shadows no longer. The guard realized that he was standing in the shadows now, no longer directly in the lamplight. He was looking up at the vampire through the tiny barred window in the heavy cell door. Errol looked down at his hand as it turned the key. Somewhere in the distance, he heard himself yelling, demanding that he stop and not open the door. He stepped back and swung the hefty wooden door open. The voice inside his head was no longer his own. The vampire fear filled the doorway. "Thank you, Errol," the voice in his head said. The bite did not hurt. There was bliss. That gets an upvote. That was fucking good. Damn. And Arthur Antonio. That was fucking good. Ooh, I like that one. Got chills going. That one got some chills to it. Nope. Let's see. Back to the music, because I let the music. Wayne, that is my bad. There we go. Just get that on repeat for us. What do you guys think? You guys want another one from this one, or do you want to go to a different story? Because there's going to be a lot of very high quality posts on here. There's a lot. This one got a lot of responses. Damn. You sounded like a Skyrim NPC. What do you mean? Oh god, how does the line go? Oh my god, one. You there. You were caught trying to cross the border. Nah, a parasite would like... Nah, parasites would latch onto your foot and make you drag them around. My uncle tried that once. It said it got monotonous. Wait, really? How did that work? Yes, that is what I did say. Bob asked, "Wouldn't people see him?" The Count scratched his head. Well, yeah, but my uncle was a powerful vampire and very bored, so people just pretended not to notice. It's not polite to talk about other people's parasites. Eventually, his victim drank some holy water, and it caused my uncle to detach and fall off. Okay, fine. But livestock. It's not like I've been in a cage. Don't y'all think of yourselves as wolves on the hunt or something? Nah, too much work. Stalking in the night sounds romantic, but it gets freaking cold. And then there's the screaming, the begging for mercy. It just puts you out of the mood. And cages? I mean, it's not like a factory farm. We're not monsters. The Count paused. Okay, maybe we're technically monsters, but we still tend to do more of a free-range, organic, grass-fed situation these days, you know? No antibiotics or nothing. More humane, less noisy. You people eat grass, right? Antibiotics? What are those? Asked Bob. The Count opened his mouth to explain, glanced around at the 12th century town strangely quiet from the ravages of this year's plague, and thought better of it. You know what? He said. Don't even worry about it. Let me just draw a pint of blood real quick. I'll give you some of this scrumptious plate of grass and a card that will tell the vampires to leave you alone for a year. And I'll be off. The Count reached into his opera cloak, red-lined, obviously, and started pulling out a syringe, some tubing, and a bag. And what happens if I say no? Well, the Count said, pausing in the act of pulling out a handful of grass from his pocket. I've always been curious about my uncle's story. We could give that a go. Bob sighed and rolled up his sleeve. Oh my fucking god, that is great. Zane, I don't think, since you said you don't have Discord, there's not really a good way to send me a script, gamer. I don't think there's really much of a way you could do that. That is the problem. That's a good one though, chat. We got a good, really well written one, and we got a funny one. I liked that. Ooh, hold up. I'm reading some of these. You fools! My sword is forged from hate. None of you soft weaklings could wield it. There is no hate in you. I thought you said you didn't have it. Might have been someone else. The villain and the heroes could only gawp at the quietest and kindest of the heroes' party stepped up, grabbed the sword, and the blade suddenly expanded to 5 times the old size. Hell yeah, I like that. Alright, sorted by best. Dr. Shady Tree, what do you have for us? There was a lot about me that my party, my friends didn't know about me. I had planned never to tell the truth, but one day, it all came out. It all just came out. We had been traveling together for years. Maximus, our leader, was an accomplished fighter who was precise and wise. That made him deadly in both combat and meeting rooms. Sylvia had the unique position of being both of the heavens and hells, and had access to magic most people could dream of. I guess that's what happens when an archangel and archdevil fall in love. Buttons was quick with everything she did, including dispatching enemies and picking locks. It's like she had a sixth sense for danger. And then there was me. I was not like them. I didn't really have any real talents or capabilities. I was sick as a young man, spent my best years in the infirmary. My limited healing abilities and knowledge of the forest proved useful, but they'd be far better with an accomplished healer, druid. They seemed to keep me around, for my company more than any useful skills I presented. Maximus called me Glue Guy. Sylvia said I had kind eyes. Buttons said I was fun to reverse steal. Truth be told, they were the closest thing to family I'd had in a long time, so we stuck together. A few weeks ago, Maximus took on a contract from a local noble family. We were to plunge ourselves into a dungeon and rid it of any unsavory creatures. Things were going all according to plan. We dispatched some trolls, a few wraiths, colony of antagonistic gnomes. But it wasn't until we traveled down several levels that we encountered an obsidian box. Check my posts. My posts where? My posts where, gamer? I immediately felt uneasy, but the rest of my friends soldiered on. Inside we found a being, 9 or 10 feet tall, sitting atop a throne of skulls and bones, patient and waiting. YouTube posts. Posts. Ah, I see. I see what you've done. Okay, I see what you did. Okay, I see what you did. Yeah, you did it in a comment. Yeah. Okay, I see. I'll give it a quick read over. See if I can do it. Yeah. Where were we? A Seki with the 85 stream streak. God damn! Very nice. Inside we found a being, 9 or 10 feet tall, sitting atop a throne of skulls and bones, patient and waiting. I'm gonna swap the music real quick. He stood as we entered the space. Well, well, well. Finally, some fresh souls for my phylactery, the now obvious Lich said. He droned on for what seemed like 4 episodes of Dragon Ball, and not the fun kind, before he brandished his sword. This is Odio. You have stepped into my world, and now you will meet your end. I froze in place. I recognized the sword. Could it be? Is this him? Maximus scoffed and charged. He was instantly cut down. Sylvia and Buttons fired magic and well-placed shots, but both were seemingly ineffective. They too were struck and cut down. I was still frozen in disbelief before the horror of the scene that had set in on my brain. You fools! My sword is forged from hate! The Lich said as he marched toward me. None of you soft weaklings could wield it, he said as he swung down at me. There is no hate in your... The sword stopped, a cold inch away from me. I had been keeping a secret from my friends. That was Seki. That is Seki, one of the biggest supporters of the channel. Yeah, so fucking amazing work, Seki. I can't believe I've been streaming that long, too. That just feels wild in general. And that's after you lost your previous streak, too. I had been keeping a secret from my friends. I wasn't the pale, glasses-wearing, sickly human who liked video games too much. I reached up and grabbed the sword. It instantly fueled me. Like a shot to the heart, I was transported back to my youth. More than 900 years ago, when an adventurer snuck into my parents' lair and struck them down. My siblings and I were barely able to fly, and he proceeded to kill all of them too. I was the only one that escaped. Ever since that day, I vowed revenge and let my hate for him, for Zerku, as he was called, grow. I kept it in a metaphorical box behind my heart, storing it with whatever wrong I'd ever encountered in every painful memory of that day. How? Zerku asked in disbelief. That's when I let it all go. The thing about people who are angry all the time is eventually it just turns into hate and disdain. It's been over 1,000 years, and I would have my revenge. As I revealed my true form, that of a large, ancient, golden dragon, the sword continued to grow. I felt its power feed into me, and back into it. It lit with a blue flame as I neared my full size. It was as if time slowed, and in that moment it was just me and that bastard. Everything else fell away for a few moments as I pushed the sword forward. I plunged it into the Lich's chest and twisted. Still feeling the rage and hate that flowed through me, I poured my fire into the wound, sealing Zerku's fate. As he died, I felt my rage pulse and snap me back to the world around me. Then I saw my friends. I saw them. My friends. My new family laying on the ground, bleeding out. I took a little time to bask in my revenge, and returned to my previous form as the sword shrunk with me. I ran over to my dying friends, and with a quick prayer to Bahamut, they were no longer dying. They all looked at me, eyes wide. I knew I had some explaining to do. There'd be time for that. We've got a new mission, and we have some phylacteries to find. Ooh, I like that one. Oh, good revenge story. I love short stories. I don't know why. There's something about having to tell such a concise narrative in such a short period of time that, ooh, it gets me going. I love it. That one was really good, too. That one was really good. I like the isekai. I'm not sure if it was an isekai or if that was like a mix of modern and historical fiction, but the timing on it's definitely a little wonky, but that's fine. Alright, let me take a quick look at what you sent me, Zane. Absolutely. I did too, Seki. I did too. Why you bringing up my love of pasta? Why you gotta bring up my love of pasta in this one? I don't know that this would be one that I would be able to do, Zane. Because it requires multiple people. So this is something we're gonna shelve for now. It's interesting. I'd like to see more from you. Keep working on it. Keep doing what you're doing. And again, if you get someone to do the other voices, I could probably see about doing recording for you at some point of this. All right. Alright, chat, do you want another one then? Seki, you want another one of this one? Ooh. Oh, this person actually does a lot of top 1% commenter. Ooh, this person does a lot of them. I expect good things from this. G5 ravioli and fettuccine. Ooh, that's good. I haven't eaten today intentionally because... Okay, so fun fact about eating, it messes with your voice and it can really gum up your throat a lot, so I have not eaten today. That I get to save for after stream. The Dark Lord had grossly underestimated the quirky party of adventurers who challenged him. At first he laughed at the wizard with the floppy robes 2 sizes too big, the warrior who wielded an axe larger than himself, the soft gentle healer with the pink ribbons and dog keychain on her staff. Yeah, hence the short stream. Yeah, today is going to be a shorter stream, but we're going to have some fun. We're just going to enjoy it. We're going to chill. We're going to just read some stories, and we're going to have a good time. And that tiny tag-along fairy, who did nothing useful except sprinkle fairy dust. Well, okay, it made some of the Dark Lord's minions sneeze, and be distracted in combat. The beans is mostly just a joke, because it's fucking fun to say. It is entirely the... Me and the boys at 2 a.m. looking for beans lives rent-free in my head. That lives rent-free in my head. I'm gonna swap the music also, because this one ain't fitting too good. There we go. The Dark Lord minions sneeze and be distracted in combat. Okay, the dust also purged the air of toxic gases that he tried to poison the adventurers with. When the warrior had disarmed him, he only laughed again. Those goody two-shoes. Those fools. They could not hope to wield his sword and use it against him. It was forged of his hatred of the world. They had no hate. They were soft do-gooders. He could only gasp and stare in shock when that little fairy lifted the sword with malicious glee. She didn't simply succeed. The sword even grew 5 times the old size. How? His scrying had shown her to be nothing but kind and quiet. She spoke no words. She spoke no words as she refilled her team's potions. She spoke no words as she refilled her team's potions, maintained their tents with care, tended their gear, and kept things all in tip-top shape without complaints. The quietest, kindest, gentlest of them all. Who wielded hate like a long-lost friend. No hate? No hate? She cackled, her voice dripping with venom. I hate you all. I hate you and all you stand for. I hate my kind who kicked me out of their home for refusing to take names and tell lies. I hate the uselessness and corruption of nobles. How they take advantage of the dire straits you plunge the world into, and then to go save people. I hate that 3 princes are engaged in civil war, then teaming up to fight you. I hate that my friends were expected to lose. I won't lose. I'll kill you myself! For the first time, the Dark Lord felt fear. For the first time, he met someone with far more hatred than him. And it wasn't one of those vicious dread knights or dark warriors who bestowed their wishes to destroy the world. How could it be a small fairy, just slightly larger than his palm? And how could the sword grow so big, yet still be able to be wielded by her? How was... She didn't let him finish. Off went his head as she screamed obscenities that would have sailors scrambling to avoid having their mother's soap in their mouths. She didn't stop there. She hacked and slashed and stabbed at his headless corpse until there was nothing left but minced meat and shattered pieces of armor. And even with all his minions dead or running, she wouldn't let go of the cursed blade forged from hate. She had so many more evil men and women to target. Too much corruption to wipe from this world. Ooh. Your story companion Pixie in some Shin Megami Tensei games. Sometimes, gamer. Oh, I love SMT games. Well, I love Persona games. I haven't played much SMT, but I've played Persona a good bit. Alright, let's see. We got some very short ones here. Alright, let's go grab another story. Let's grab another one. Okay. This one sounds funny. We'll probably only get like one story out of this one as well, but you were the god of textiles. Respected, but genuinely considered a minor deity. But everything changed when mortals started regularly describing space-time and reality as fabric. The old man smiled as he pushed the worn needle through the fabric, making another impeccable stitch. His work seemed slow and methodical, but honed by millennia. He was working at a remarkable pace. He barely noticed when reality shifted and a figure emerged from where there was nothing but an empty void. "Taylor," the figure greeted him. "Nature." The man smiled, his head still affixed to his work, though he saw her in the corner of his eyes. The figure was the figure's a woman. Okay. "Taylor." The figure was a woman, strong, imposing, yet with an undeniable air of kindness about her, with a rich mane of hair, all different colors. Through the green and blue stood the most prominent. "Please, sit." No, please, sit. Nature sat down at the comfortable chair across from him and basked in the warmth of the star in the fireplace before looking at him more carefully. "You've changed," she commented. "Well, it's been a spell since we last talked," he smiled. "When was the last time? I was neath... Or was it when I was the Fates?" "Madame Oklo, with the Incans. You looked good." "Still do?" Nature laughed. "I do like pasta. I do be liking pasta." "Though you're now a bit more... restrained." "Times have changed. You know that," Taylor said. "Nowadays, people see me more nondescript," I assume is what they tried to say. "Older, wiser. Something to do with science or the perception of a scientist, I believe. But you know I was never one for that. You'd have to ask Thoth. He keeps track of things." "They have indeed. I heard you have an unusual resurgence. Wanted to see you for myself." "And what do you see?" he said, and lifted his head, turning to face her. She saw it now, what the other gods mentioned. His eyes glowed, not the usual ethereal glow the other gods had, but a rich, deep shade of gold spilling from his eyes, almost as if he was crying in all directions. "I see power," she said quietly. Don't be like that," he laughed warmly and turned back to his work. "I'm still me. You've always treated me well, and I see no reason to stir things up. You've nothing to worry about." "But how? Has a new type of textile been invented?" "No, actually, it's..." He paused, considering the best explanation. "Time, space, combined, inseparable. The humans have come to refer to it as something more familiar to their minds. They now call it fabric." "Ah," Nature remarked. "I see. Well, that certainly explains it, but," she said with a smile, "I can see you're busy, and I know how you appreciate your peace. Though, this one," she said, and leaned over to carefully examine his work. "It is exquisite. More than exquisite. Everything you've ever done has been a masterpiece. But what do you call this?" The tailor stood up and unfurled the fabric of space-time he had been stitching together. It formed a cloak, flowing and vast, both new and old as the universe, stars and nebulae swirling on its surface, casting iridescent light across the room. I call this one Andromeda. Ooh. Honestly, not where I expected to go with that. I expected this to be funny. That was good. God damn. Sir Peacemaker. He's fucking keep writing fire. Oh, he's got his own thing. Looks like he's got his own thing, too. I just can't access it like that. And I know better than to click on someone's account right now. You never know what you are going to see when you click on someone's account. Yeah, this one's a good length. Okay, you know what? Apparently we are going to get a little bit more out of this. Space is mine, and time is mine! The thunderous voices, the voices of eternity, filled the hall at the end of the void. They were joined by the raucous shouts of other, equally offended deities, all condemning me. I tried to speak up and defend myself, but my voice wasn't thunderous. Most described it as a rustle, or the whisperings of a shuttlecock. If they didn't particularly like me, and that was most of them at the moment, they described it as grating, like the soft but incessant hum of the weaving wheel. I don't think that's what they meant, I said. No one heard me. Enough! When creation speaks, everyone tends to listen. We were all a part of it, after all. Weaver! You may speak! I swallowed and tried to start again. I don't think they meant it as real fabric, I trailed off before the glowering of my older siblings. I should say the two of the oldest. Yet I am diminished, as am I! The space roared, and their twin time joined them. I shrank back. I was one of the babies. One of the oldest human of the human gods, but still less than an infant compared to eternity and everything. Like most of us, we'd been very small and insignificant until a few centuries ago. When science had started taking over, I couldn't help but notice science wasn't here being yelled at. They steal everything! One of the... Fucking Christ. One of the spectators, Disaster, spoke up. He did have a good case. Nobody had lost quite as much as he had. Man-made disasters were now most of them. Oh, he did have a good case. Nobody had lost quite as much as he had. Man-made disasters were now most of them. Man, getting gunky. But I can't. I tried to speak up, but the clamor had begun again. Once again, creation had to settle them. At their bidding, I continued. I can't even do anything with it. You're taking our power and giving it to others, Space shouted. Yeah, like Gravity, that upstart. He used to be part of us. Time was furious. Well, I wrung all 9 sets of my hands, trying to come up with an answer. They weren't technically wrong. Ever since the humans had used the fabric metaphor, Gravity and I had been on a bit of a run. I think you're placing the blame on the wrong place. I think you're placing the blame on the wrong place. Gravity's voice was so deep that it was difficult to understand, but it silenced the chatter. Neither Weaver nor I are responsible for this. They turned the black holes of their eyes to the oldest of the babies. Our parent, such as it was, humanity. Ugh. Every eye and phenomenon and event rolled in disgust. Humanity couldn't be bothered to recognize they'd been addressed, of course. One of their greatest gifts was their complete inability to worry about what creation thought of them. Instead, they were busy as they always were, playing with their 2 favorite kids, war and wealth. The rest of us were pretty much left to our own devices, especially lately. or rather left to the mercies of war and wealth whenever they wanted something from us. Science always got lots of praise and attention, unless they pissed off wealth, and then they got in trouble. War and science were best friends, though, so they never stayed in trouble for long. All the rest of us worked for war and wealth and tried to stay out of trouble. It had been fine until science had helped humanity create telescopes and microscopes. Then suddenly gravity and I were important and getting blamed for everything. How was I being blamed for gravity tearing holes in space and time just because humanity needed me to help them understand it didn't mean I was responsible? How do you explain the concept of a metaphor to time? Could space understand that it was humanity doing this, not me? I sighed. The cat's cradle I'd been inadvertently weaving collapsed. We'll be gone soon enough, I said at last. I looked over at war and wealth, continuously beating up Earth to make humanity laugh. Not soon enough for us, the oldest ones started to shout. We took care of Earth's previous inhabitants when they got smart enough to start making their own gods. Why shouldn't we do the same now? I looked over at the lovingly displayed corpses, seeing the roaring forms of the gods of the beings humanity and science had decided to call dinosaurs. I shuddered. I hadn't been there for it. None of us babies had. But the earth still shivered a little whenever it was brought up, and Luna went silent. I looked at Gravity, who just shrugged. He was lucky. If humanity died, he'd just go back to being a part of space and time. He wasn't created the whole cloth, pardon the pun. He wasn't created whole cloth, pardon the pun, by humanity. Well, I started to say. Gravity and I have been working on a solution, along with disaster. We call it the Ripple. And if it works, we'll shake most of humanity off the earth. She'll get a little banged up, but she can agree a few cracks and wrinkles would be fair payment. Oh, we call it the Ripple. And if it works, we'll shake most of humanity off of Earth. She'll get a little banged up, but she agreed a few cracks and wrinkles would be fair payment. I tried to explain the plan, but I barely understood it. Gravity was going to jump up and down on me, and it would make waves or something like that, and that would shake Earth, and somehow humanity would react. Then what happens? Space asked. Time rolled their eyes. They obviously knew. Then humanity, if they survive at all, goes back to being an insignificant pest, and we can stop dealing with this. Oh, wait. Then humanity, if they survive at all, goes back to being an insignificant pest, and we stop dealing with this, Time answered. They stared at me, measuring out my time. And you, little weaver, can go back to being a tiny little spider on humanity's tiny little shoulder. I'd like that, I agreed. What about them? Space asked. They started pointing at Science, who was staring and listening to us intently. It was clear by their horrified expression that they'd figured out the plan. Seeing them, I just laughed. Don't worry about them, I said. Humanity always ignores them and about stuff like this, I pointed. I mean, look at climate change. Growing out of humanity's back Look at climate change. Growing out of humanity's back was a weeping pustule whose smoking excretions seemed to burn and scar Earth. They've ignored that for centuries. Ooh. Alright. A absolute power play and power struggle by literal gods is how they decided to take that one. Interesting. I still think I like Sir Peacemaker's a bit better. I don't know, just the idea, the story of having two powerful deities just sit down and have a discussion like that. It hit good. It hit good. It made the feel good chemicals go in my brain. Let's swap off of writing prompts then for now. Unless you guys want more writing prompts. If you guys want more writing prompts, we'll keep doing it. Otherwise, I was gonna go to Grimoire of Madness, see what they might have. Because I know they've done some new stuff, and again, I do plan to do some of their stories as well, eventually. Yeah, let's up Grimoire of Madness. Let's go to his top all time. Here we go. His top one was Sins of the Father, Sins of the Son. He's a smaller author, but he does good work. I really like Santiago's work. Sins of the Father, Sins of the Son. My father was not a good man. I know this, but when I think of him, I first recall his warmth, his kindness, and his strength. I remember vividly watching him toil away at backbreaking labor to support us. I was amazed by the strength of his hands and how gentle they were with me. And then my stomach drops into a pit, because now I know that with those same hands, he took the lives of countless innocent people. My earliest memory of him, I was 4, and I was trying to convince him to let me take in a stray dog I had found wandering in an abandoned lot. We can't be too much trouble to lug the mud around. We have a hard enough time with just the 2 of us, he said. We can't leave him with lots of food until we can leave him with lots of food until we come back, I countered. Well, I was just... I'm sorry, I was just sent something that it was just a visual flashbang. Twisted, if you're here, thanks for that. We can leave him with lots of food until we come back, I countered. Dogs aren't like people. They're bound by instinct. If you leave a month's worth of food out for a dog, it won't ration its food out so that it can eat happily for a month. No, it'll gorge itself and eat all the food that's available to it. That's its nature, its instinct. And once there's nothing left and hunger creeps in, it might go out in the world and search for a new meal. We've already learned that its instinct is to consume as much as it can while it can. And that's why we're around to control that which is bestial. He said, his eyes tainted with an existential melancholy. What up, Zane? Even now, when I think about it, a trickle of cold sweat crawls achingly slow down the side of my brow. He was so close to telling me the truth back then. I wondered if the possibility of passing on his burdens was what caused the derailment of his life lesson. Our life was unconventional, spent in countless cheap, dirty roadside motels as we trekked aimlessly through the states. Sometimes we slept in abandoned lots and dark parking lots, and on cold nights, we clung to each other, knowing that there was no one else in the world that would take care for us, but us. He tried his best to provide for me, and I never went hungry. Even on our worst days, his patience and understanding were unmatched by any man I have known since. The first time I suspected my father was involved in something grisly was when I was 9. He left me alone in our motel with the TV on and a pizza box. He must have been gone 11 hours at least, and I began to worry that something terrible had happened to him. The entire week, something had been off. There was a heaviness in the air, and a chill that seemed to stalk us. It was in the middle of a brutal summer, but a very enclosed space that I found myself in was wicked. Sorry, I lost my track for a second. It is not easy to sight read these. The entire week something had been off. There was a heaviness in the air, and a chill seemed to stalk us. It was the middle of a brutal summer, but every enclosed space I found myself in was wicked of its heat, until the very last breaths I exhaled were visible. I noticed that my father was suffering from some mental fatigue. I mean, again, I can do the lines for it. I can do the lines and and have somehow, and we, for that. It's just the issue of I can't do all the different voices since I don't know what you'd want. I noticed that my father was suffering from some mental fatigue. He was more irritable than usual, and had a mounting nervousness that made him quick to sequester us in our hotel. He left that day seeing there was something he needed to do, but promised he'd be back. But as the clock neared 1 a.m., I was afraid that I'd never see him again. The relief I felt when he rushed into the hotel was short-lived when I saw the state he was in. His dark hair was disheveled, splattered with a slick substance. His eyes were crazed. What stood out most of all was the angry red lines crisscrossing his face and neck. He told me to get my things, and as he quickly made his way into the shower, I did as I was told. The panic tone of his voice infused a frenzy into my movements, and all I owned was haphazardly thrown into my backpack. My father stepped out of the shower and dressed as I noticed the deep scratches raked into his forearms and back. Even at that age, it was unmistakable. Violence. We drove away from the motel in silence, with no alarm or danger given voice by my father, but an undeniable sense of wrongness lingered in the air, heavy and undispelled. I knew deep in the pit of my gut that we had committed great evil. Dad, however, was at ease, as if some great weight had just been lifted off his shoulders. As days passed, I noticed the stalking cold had faded. 3 years passed, and I smartened up by then and began to recall and re-examine. Began to piece things... Oh my god, fucking Christ. I began to piece things together. Through the layers of denial and rationalization, I knew what he had done. I held on to the hope that the motel incident was the last time, that we could move forward with time and forget. And then he killed Morgan. There was a build-up to it, that same strange chill, the sense of impending doom. And then Dad left like he always did. And when he came back, the stalking specter was gone. And so was Morgan. I didn't know him. I couldn't bring myself to even look into him even now. I only caught wind of him through radio broadcasts as we hastily left another small town. My dad quickly switched stations, and I knew it had been him. I think I knew I think he knew that I knew then. The nervousness in both our eyes communicating more between us than we ever could with words. I took part in my first murder at 15. It wasn't planned. It wasn't a rite of passage. It was more like a car crash, flying at 120 miles per hour straight into the embankment. Her name was Laurie Artwood, a local prostitute. I forced myself to look this time, even if it was a glance at a driver's license, moments before it was tossed into flames. Her name, her face, all seared into the flesh of my mind. It was the moment she stepped out, bloody and starry-eyed, as a curtain of blood cascaded down the side of her head. A flap of flesh dangled loosely from her scalp, weighed and dragged down by curly auburn hair. As we locked eyes, and hope flushed into her irises. There's a lot of places, Zane. There's a lot of places you can find people. As we locked eyes, and hope flushed into her irises, I looked away and saw the same crimson-slicked and chipped exposed skull. She screamed then, and I flinched and doubled back at her, seeing the desperate sprint she made toward the car I had been sleeping in. Dad closed the distance, sprinting on long, powerful legs, the glint of a deadly metal arc flashing briefly in the moonlight before he brought the axe down with a powerful and meaty thwack. I saw the light leave her eyes as the floor rushed up to meet her. Dad pried the axe loose with a foot and brought it down thrice more. I watched in horror, spewing vomit and tears as blood rain coated the floor and car. I was comatose by the time he finally entered the driver's seat. The crazed look from 6 years earlier was mirrored, and I knew he had always been like this. He chanted, "Fuck," under his breath. Like a mantra, he had scrambled to start the car, and when the engine roared to life, silence fell like a guillotine. Could not have timed that better. We drove off into the night, and I was left with the knowledge that I had killed her with my inaction. Dawn was starting to peek through the horizon when we finally came to some unnamed backwater town with a self-serve car wash. I watched as Dad fed the machine a handful of quarters and proceeded to wash the car clean. The cold spray made the bitter morning cold all the harsher, and with each passing moment, I felt the question, the demand bubbling up inside me. "Why?" I asked quietly. It cleaved through the whir and sound of the pressurized water, and Dad heard it. He turned to face me and said, "Soon." So we waited until the water ran clear and the sun rose, and off we drove into some far-flung forest edge, where he pulled over. A cigarette was lit, and Dad took a long drag until his lungs hurt and he couldn't hold it anymore. He breathed the plume of smoke out, painting the world gray, and held out a cigarette to me and answered with a contemptuous glare. "All right, I guess it's time you knew. You'd find out sooner or later. This thing will pass on to you eventually," he said. "The thing?" "You felt it before. I'm sure you have. The way it hungers, the way it loathes, and the way it schemes." "What are you talking about?" I asked, but in the pit of my stomach I had an inkling of what he meant. He reached out for a moment and I froze. But this was my dad. He wouldn't hurt me. So I let him take hold of my shoulder and turned to face the sunrise. "If it's here, it means they haven't found her body yet, and you can't see it by looking through your eyes. Think of what you have, what you've lost, what I've taken from you because I couldn't bear the thought of doing this alone." I did. I could have had a normal life, friends, family, first love, anything but this vagrant lifestyle, knowing the person you cherished most was a monster, and having him drag you into this hell. And then, I felt the sting of tears on my eyes, a long blossoming, and the crushing weight of its existence. "Now show yourself," he said. And in the glow of the morning sun, it did. I didn't know if the thing was malformed or degraded, just that it didn't belong. Why the click? Fuck, where was I? Multiple forms convened and interlaced within the same space. Upon a glance, it was a human silhouette weaved in shadow. But in that same instance, it was a cuboid thing, far too large for the space it existed in. Its surface pocked and scarred by clockwork machinery, passages of labyrinthian tunnels. It was constantly turning, shifting, and restructuring. I didn't know where to look. If I focused on its maze-like circuitry, I would lose myself in the maddening scramble to navigate them. And if I saw the black of its being, I would that beneath it all was a maw that opened wide and lapped hungrily at the world around it, feeding on something that still evaded me. I tried to recoil, tried to move away from it, but Dad caught me and held me firm, forcing me to gaze into the thing. Its once semi-translucent form grew vivid and real, solidifying its existence. A cloud of black smoke was being pulled from me into the hungry maws of its shadow self, and in the machinery and clockwork of its exterior. It was devouring some part of me, and it horrified me enough to try to turn to run, but Dad's firm hands held me as he spoke. "I think it might have had a purpose at one point, to lessen the weight of some great tragedy. But with time, even blessings can become curses. I don't know why it latched onto us, whether it was born or made, but that it needs to feed. And if we don't feed it and control its urges, it might just go into the world and gorge itself on the grief it brings. The knowledge that I am sparing the world from the havoc it could wreak is my sin and burden. And now, yours. I stood transfixed, gaze locked on the thing that fed on grief and stalked our bloodline. And then it came to me. A question that I had pondered, but never voiced. What happened to Mom? I turned to face him and saw him drowning in pain, in guilt, in remorse. He looked away, and I knew. The world spun as bile threatened to force its way up. My lip quivered as it turned away, preferring to face the grief-devouring demon. But it had already faded into a phantasm. And a moment later, nothing remained. They found her, was all my father said. And before he got back in the car, the moment of hesitation dragged out for what felt like an eternity. But eventually, I was in the passenger seat alongside him, wondering how long this thing would be able to feed on the grief my father wrought that night before he'd have to do it again. 2 years. 2 short years before the grief demon manifested again. I understood now why it stuck close to us, why no suspicion ever came to us. It was a parasite, leeching from whoever it could with the least amount of effort. I tried telling Dad that if we let it starve, it would go somewhere else. But he feared the lengths it would to feed itself. The world is drowning in pain. There's no shortage of ways for it to gorge itself. No, the world's drowning in pain. There's no shortage of ways for it to gorge itself, I told him. I can't risk that. No one should suffer this. No one but me. And he was off, searching for his next victim, unaware it was the last time we would see each other. He never found them, not that night, but when he returned to the motel, he found it empty. I took what I had and caught a bus anywhere else, and kept going until I no longer could. The monstrous thing followed me, and for a night, but when I greeted the following dawn, it was gone, and I knew Dad was the one grieving. The lump in my heart wasn't heavy enough to turn my pace. I kept moving. Because it was all I could do. I found a job as a laborer, taking whatever anyone was willing to give me. And for 2 years, I broke my back scrounging change for nothing. Half a year ago, I came to home in my shitty apartment, opening the door, and I was greeted by a bone-deep chill. And I froze in the center of the room upon a thrifted coffee table it stood, crouched itself. The labyrinthine clockwork had slowed to a crawl, and their underlying hungry mouths lapped at the empty air. Something of them grinned at me expectantly. A scream tried to tear its way up my body, but it was drowned out by something else, a smoldering emotion on the verge of catching flame. As the implication of the demon's appearance settled in, I felt it. Grief. And then I cried. I cried for all that I had lost and for what I never had. I cried, hoping to drown a space within me that grew with every second. As I collapsed onto the floor, as I collapsed into myself, as the mechanisms of this thing unwound and then opened and encircled me, the maws bit down, deep on the flames of my pain, and I drowned in the crushing weight of its presence, suffocated by my fire and its hunger. I was immobilized at first as it fed on the grief cultivated over a lifetime. Days passed, and then weeks, and then a month before a moment of clarity. A burden eased, and I sought him out, claimed his body, and did what I could. It wasn't much, but the tiny urn they gave me could at least be carried until I found the courage to let him go. I've carried it ever since. Their weight is great, and some days I buckle and fall, but I know that with each passing day it gets easier, even if only a little. It won't ever fade completely. I know that, but one day it'll be okay. I'll climb onto his favorite cliffside, the one that overlooked a redwood forest, and there I'll toss our burdens to the wind. Let them be scattered and be returned to the earth. The demon might stick around a bit longer, and maybe much longer than anticipated. But I won't let it be my cross to bear. I don't know what it'll do. Maybe it'll latch on to someone else. Maybe it will coast through the world, feeding on the suffering as it passes them. Maybe Dad was right and it'll gorge on the whole of the world's grief until it can't. Somehow I doubt that. Not through any logical reasoning, but because it's what I have to believe in if I want to live with myself. The only thing I know is that I'll keep trudging forward until I can't. And that, ladies, gentlemen, and others, was Sins of the Father, Sins of the Son. Great story by Santiago Del Mar. Fantastic. Absolutely going to do a proper narration of that with edited music and everything. Definitely something that we are going to get to eventually. As always, a lot of it is going to be kind of eventually, because that requires me to actually take the time to record. But yeah, I just wanted to have a little bit of story time for everybody, though. I might call it here. It's a short stream today, but I wanted to try something different. If you guys like this, remember to leave a like, and feel free to let me know either in the chat or in any comments when this is on YouTube or in the Discord. Yes, we are going to raid Kit. I don't know that Kit is streaming right now. Let me double check. I don't know that he started streaming. He did! He is live right now, so yes, let's give him a raid, everybody. But yes, thank you for posting the Discord. Let me go into this. /raid Kitsune no OG. Appreciate you greatly. Thank you all to everyone for coming out to support the channel. Remember to leave a follow if you liked your song. If you liked, you could subscribe. And I will see you all Wednesday. Hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And remember to share Kit some of the love you guys show me with Kit. Bye-bye! And have a beautiful day. Again, yeah, sorry Zane, shorter one today. Bye-bye.